What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm happy to say that I modified the axle, the front wheel axle that I bought. I told you before the threads were a little bit short, so I went to a shop and got them cut even further so we have a workable axle. But let's get the bike on here and see what we're working with. I'm gonna flip the bike upside down. That is gonna be much more easier to work on. Let's clamp it in place. This is the axle that I'm talking about. This was a lot larger, but now the cups can move freely and we can clamp in the wheel. So because we are working with a wheel that's actually a true axle, we're gonna have to do some fiddling around. That shouldn't be a big of an issue. It's just gonna be a hassle to line it up, but we will see. I'm gonna have to put everything together and see what we are working with. Good thing I recut these threads so the bolts and the cups move easily. So now what I'm gonna have to do is get this brake disc drum on here, see what we're working with. I think there's not gonna be a lot of room. I'm maybe gonna have to do some modifications on the fork itself, but we're gonna have to put this one on here. Now the hole is 11 and the axle is 12. So I'm gonna have to drill this out, but I'm gonna have to pull it all off and make it nice and flat so I can drill it absolutely perfect, because I don't want it to rub or whatever. And then we're gonna have to see what type of spacers we need in there to make it all nice and fit and line up and whatever. But as it looks, the wheel turns, it is in there. I'm pretty happy about that. If I would run it without a brake, I could put in spacers right here and run it without a brake, but we don't want to do that. We want to have front brakes. I'm just gonna crack on with that, drill this out, fit it all together and see what we got at the end. So here it is, the wheel is on there, but of course we still have some problems, but we see the end line. We can see it, we almost there. We have to push a little bit through and then we can have the wheel completely on it with the brake. The main problem right now is the brake itself. It doesn't really fit. I had to drill it out to get it on that axle, but yeah, there is still gonna be some work to get that perfectly fit and get that perfectly working. Now with the normal wheel, like this slides into here or it fits, but with this wheel that doesn't happen. It is a different model and it doesn't work, so I cannot do that. So I'm gonna have to put in a plate right here to connect the two pieces, the fork and the brake drum. But as you can see, it is pretty tight. And of course the wheel isn't centered, it is out of line, and we don't want that on a race bike. So what I'm gonna do, the plan is I'm gonna remove a little bit from the brake drum. There's still some meat on there, and I'm gonna remove the thing from the fork, get it all nice and flat with that surface. As you can see, there's still a little bit of flat surface right there. So I'm gonna mill that down, but I cannot do that here. So I'm gonna have to ask a friend to go to his house and then just mill that off, because I could do it with a file, but that, first of all, that is gonna be a lot of work, and getting it nice and flat is gonna be really hard. But with a milling machine, it should be a little bit more easier. Then after that, I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna connect everything, make that all welded up and whatever. Of course, I'm not gonna get it completely centered. I measured it. I need to shift over like 7 mil. The total space that I can work with is 1 centimeter. Now that sounds a lot, but I have to shift over 7 mils. So I'm gonna have to grind every single thing down, so I can get that 1 centimeter, shift it over in the center, see what I got. So practically 3 mils, which is pretty thin for my taste. So maybe I'm gonna use a plate that is 4. That should be centered enough, but we will see how it works. But just for now, because I want to carry on with the bike, I'm gonna remove the brake and I'm gonna center it up, see what space I have on either side, and then just put in small little tubes so I can clamp it down and the wheel is completely on there. Because I'm gonna ask the shade to order some valves and some tires so we can put it on the wheel, front and back, and then we can start on re-welding the spring bracket so we can have a rolling frame. Later on I can work on the front brake system, but that will help us if we have a rolling frame, because now it's pretty hard to do. I just want to carry on with the bike. I'm almost getting a vacation, like a week of vacation, and I'm gonna use that to work on this bike. But of course, if I cannot get that piece milled, I'm gonna ask the guy, see what he says. If he says, hey, you can come on Saturday, I'm gonna mill it. But if he says, yeah, I don't really have time in the weekend right now, I'm just gonna wait on it. If we can get the brake working, fine, okay, no problem. If you cannot, yeah, that's just the way it goes. But I'm gonna make some tubes, not right now, of course, because I don't have the right equipment to do that. So now I'm gonna disassemble the brake and line it up and see how much space that I have to get tubes in there so I can clamp down the wheel, and then we can figure everything out. Yeah. So as you can see, the wheel is on there and it's turning perfectly. So as you can see, the front brake is completely gone. So it is very dangerous right now. Yeah, this is the space that I got. It is not much. When the brake was on there and I saw how much space that I got, I'm not really sure that I can fit a brake blocker or connect it to the forks. So that is gonna be a little bit fiddling around. It looks much, but I'm not quite sure about it, but we will see once we get there. On this side, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the wheel has to push in more like this. But as you can see right now, it is pretty centered. It is how it should look. I'm pretty happy with the fitment and how the wheel turns. It turns smoothly. So having this on the bike with the original frame, the second-hand forks from another bike, and the original wheel, because that is what we're going for. We want the same wheel that is on the back side and on the front side. We really didn't want to mix different kind of wheels. That would look stupid, and we want a clean look. It has to look like the bike was built that way and not look like, hey, it's a different fork on there. We can see that because there is a different wheel on there. We don't want that. We want the bike to look normal. So when I was looking at this, I remembered I still have the attachment for the speedometer, and this will fit on here. So it would be nice if we got the original speedometer on here. Let me see where it is. This is the original one. It would be nice if we could put it back on the bike like a standalone unit, just like this, like in a race car you have all those gauges. It would look nice, but we will see once we get there. So what I now need to do is order those parts. I wrote some stuff down, got some measurements, what materials I need, how thick they need to be, bolts, bolt size, thread size from other parts. So I'm gonna make a whole list so the shade can order that and we can work on it, and we have a lot more stuff to put on there. We got the carb, but the carb is a little bit too early. I want a rolling frame, but I'm estimating like in 2 weeks we're gonna have a rolling frame. I'm aiming for that. I will not do less. we're gonna have a rolling frame. Once we have that, we can work on other stuff like kickstand. We want a kickstand, not a center stand. We can work on that, see how that is going, the seat, the tube, everything, because then we have the correct stance of the bike. I'm pretty stoked about this. I mean, the wheel is on there, it will work. Also, I'm gonna have to machine some parts for here, get that fork a little bit more sturdy. Also, I was thinking about this. We have the 4 mounting points right here on either side. Is this really necessary that there is a bracket right here, that it keeps the fork more in line? Because if the wheel goes a little bit like that, it could bend the axle. I don't know. I'm not really concerned about it right now because we are not gonna ride it. But in the future, is this really necessary, or is it just a added strength to the fork? Maybe we can integrate it into a fender, because yeah, I think I want to have a fender on there, but for that we have to get the wheel in the correct position with the brakes and everything. That all has to work, and then we can start maybe fabricating something that goes over like a hoop. Also, I'm gonna have to open up these forks, see what's in there, re-grease them, do whatever. Yeah, that is gonna be also a little bit fun. But once we have everything set up, I can open them up and see what we're working with, re-grease them. They feel stiff enough, they feel cleaner than the original forks. Also, I'm gonna let the shade order a handlebar. That will be more nicer, we can see how the bike works. It's gonna be the same style handlebars that is on there right now, but they don't completely fit. So I'm gonna contact jmpvparts.com and figure out what handlebars I need. I got the measurements of how thick they need to be. It's like 22, it's a standard size, but the width of the clamps needs to be exact. Let me see what they are. 78.5 is the minimum that I can go, that I have to have a flat piece. If they don't have a handlebar like that, or maybe it's 70 or whatever, I'm gonna customize them. I'm gonna buy them, cut them in two, elongate them, and yeah, weld them up like that. So hopefully next week we have the parts in, we can mount tires, we can finish up this part, have some more information on the machining stuff of it, have the bushes machined already so I can mount it up. If the brake cannot be modified at that point, we can always get a step ahead of it. I'm definitely gonna make this in a rolling frame, so if you like to see that, I promise you, I'm gonna keep this promise. In 2 weeks, we're gonna have a rolling frame. I'm not gonna slow poke it. Come take a look next week and see what we can do. Once the parts are here, the spark is gonna be reignited. I think the bike is gonna have a massive change in the next 2 weeks. It's gonna look like a bike again, and we can roll it around. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a whole experience, and this bike already has been an experience. I'm pretty happy with the results and the place that we are right now, but still a lot of work to do. And yeah, it's fun. So that is gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and on TikTok. And if you're not already subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.